Yeah, I think we should be good, but I'm not sure which screen it is recording. It should be recording this screen. Yeah, we should be good on the recording. Yeah, the software as a service, potentially you don't need anything other than your laptop. And I was telling about my experience when I started a job. So there was, we were waiting on one software. I mean, they had installed a server, and the project already started. So we were, I mean, every day they were talking about a car has to come, car has to come. I'm like, what the hell is this car? Then later we realized, okay, they ordered some for some server, and that's what they are calling car. So there is car is some acronym or something. And finally, after maybe 2 months or maybe a month, so the server has come and we started the work. So that's how it is. Basically, it will take a lot of time for the servers to come and all. With SaaS applications, you don't need any of that. Basically, everything is available on the cloud, and you on the day one you are going to start your work. And operating expenses later. So potentially, when you want to upgrade, when you have a server, when you want to update it, so potentially you have to have, I mean, if it is SAP world, so you have to have some basis admins. They have to start working on it maybe a weekend. They will take down the server, they will upgrade it, then the Monday they will give it to you. So that's how the on-prem servers will work. There is a lot of waiting that is going to happen in the IT world with the on-prem servers. Whereas with SaaS, potentially you don't need to worry about all that stuff. The service provider will take care of all, and all you have to do is just go ahead and work on the software or build the software. And there are other things, so IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So that is most likely the Amazon kind of thing, AWS. You basically you build your servers, but you don't do it on your data center. Basically, Amazon or Google Cloud, they are going to give you the servers and all, but you build those, you configure those. But with Salesforce, you don't need to worry about all that stuff. They will take care of that. And today, let's say you start with 10 users, you will buy the software and say, okay, hey, I'm going to use 10 seats. And so tomorrow, maybe if your business is going to grow, so if you want to add more licenses, you simply work with Salesforce, the vendor, add a few more licenses, and basically you are up and running. You don't need any waiting time.
Salesforce is a SaaS model, basically.
Yeah. And please stop me whenever you have any question or anything. So I don't, I mean, let's make it as interactive. And the next one is multi-tenant architecture. So in Salesforce, let's say whether it is Pepsi or Coke or anybody whoever wants to use Salesforce, I mean, Salesforce definitely won't give you any separate server or anything. Everybody is on the same server somehow or other, so they manage it, the databases and everything. Nobody else, I mean, you see only your data, and others won't be able to see the other client data. So that's how the multi-client tenant architecture. And also, since you are going to use the same server resources, so even though whether you have 10,000 users or 20,000 users, and you still need to follow a lot of the vendor guidelines, saying, okay, when you are running some service, if it takes more than certain time that they allowed, and so they will basically shut you down that process, saying, okay, you cannot consume the resources like the way you want. So that's where I mean, it helps the clients also, because that brings in some discipline with the software developers and also the admins, so that they put in a lot of performance friendly software. Otherwise, maybe on-prem, sometimes we build the software like the way we want, and sometimes it won't even work the way we want. And still, because it is going to be on our server and it won't time out or anything, it will still work, but at the end of the day, the user experience is the ultimate thing. So if we don't build the software properly, that's not going, I mean, that's not going to help anybody. So that's where the multi-tenant architecture from these software vendors on the cloud, they will mandate you to certain guidelines that will help the customers. And CRM. So Salesforce, I mean, they started as a CRM solution. So basically customer relationship management. So that's how they started. And so over the time, potentially they I mean, they acquired a lot of companies, so that's how they became a platform. I mean, over the time you will see why Salesforce is so powerful, or at least why it is so easy to enhance for any requirements that you want. I mean, definitely I like the way they gave the platform. So if you want to build anything, it is very easy to build, and so it is also mobile ready. So the moment you build something on Salesforce, and it is readily available for mobile, so you don't really need to build something different for mobile. And I can recall some days where we build some application, the same application you have to get it ready for mobile. I mean, that takes a lot of time, but with Salesforce, everything is ready. I mean, there are some edge cases where it is not ready, but most of the time, if you use the framework like the way Salesforce has given, it is all mobile ready. And the stock symbol, I mean, that's why since it is CRM, the Salesforce stock symbol is the CRM, so it is trending around $300 right now. Yeah, so this is the multi-tenant thing. I mean, most of you may have seen this kind of figure that they use it to explain, so that anybody who is not new to anybody who is new to this thing can understand it well. So basically, there is an apartment complex. So if you want, I mean, everybody need to use water resources, power, and all the utilities that the building has provided. And you cannot, I mean, it is not ideal for you to use a lot of water, maybe other resources like the way you want when you are, and you cannot create a lot of nuisance. If you create any nuisance, potentially they will take you out of the apartment, something like that. So that's where, and the trust part, as I mentioned earlier, trust is the most important thing from Salesforce. I mean, they say it, they follow it. So trust is definitely number one thing on their agenda. So again, the governor limits, this is the one you keep hearing, especially if you're a developer, you come across this thing quite a lot. So if you write the code, maybe if you write any SQL statements or SQL statements, if you are familiar, and you cannot write the way however you want. So basically you have to follow certain guidelines. Then only, I mean, that improves the performance of the application, and also for the developer, that brings in a lot of discipline. And also for admins, when you are writing some flows, process builders and all, you cannot write certain things like however you want. So basically you have to follow guidelines even for admin. And the upgrades, so this is one of the key things from Salesforce. I mean, they do have upgrades every year, and 3 times per year. And with every release they bring in some features. I mean, most of the time these days they also become too commercial. So every feature that they give, so they potentially they expect you to pay some money. But earlier it used to be very nice. So, but I mean, it's all commercial. But definitely there is a lot going on. So a lot of development, a lot of innovation is happening. I mean, I think they have to catch up with other technologies like AWS, Google Cloud, all those guys. And also there are a lot other Salesforce competitors. They have to compete with them. That's why these upgrades are very critical for them. And also the way they operate these upgrades, they don't take a lot of time. So let's say if you want to upgrade on server, typically it takes a lot of time, lot of effort. But the way they do, so typically they say 5 minutes downtime, and also during that time, so systems typically will be available in display mode or read-only mode. But within 5 minutes, the systems will be back and they with upgraded. So which is, I mean, very amazing to me. And so we talked about Salesforce as a platform. So initially it started as a CRM application, especially as a sales cloud application. Over the time, so Salesforce has bought a lot of companies. So I mean, MuleSoft, which is an integration solution. If we want to talk two systems from Salesforce to SAP, or for that matter, any system, potentially you can leverage MuleSoft. Slack is the latest acquisition from Salesforce, which is on $27 billion just for communication collaboration sake. They bought it. That is their highest acquisition from the money point of view. And Tableau, so for analytics sake, they acquired that one, I think 2 years back. Exact Target, which is a marketing cloud solution, and Heroku is another solution where you can deploy some servers, and also that's where they use Heroku. And they use the commerce side. Basically, if you want to build any commerce application like shopping cart or anything, so potentially you'll use the demandware. So they acquired and they renamed it as B2B, B2C commerce. And most of the time, whenever they acquired any company, so they won't keep the same name. They potentially change the name, kind of they Salesforce size the any vendor that they acquire. Steelbrick, that is a CPQ solution for quotes. Current, I think, the pricing quotes one. So which is, I think, a lot of companies uses that one. So and the cloud crews is, I mean, one is B2B, the other one is B2C. So potentially B2C, just think about it as Amazon, the way how we are using, and B2B is more like business to business. So let's say for Granger, maybe if they are dealing with some Pepsi as a company, so that's where those kind of differentiation. One is with customer, end customer as a small size or maybe individual. The other one is actually a big company. I mean, companies dealing with companies. So how to learn Salesforce? I mean, very easy to learn. I mean, the soft they made it so easy. I mean, obviously, as much time as you can put in, so potentially you can learn that much. That's how I can say. And there is quite a lot to learn. So I mean, since they are acquiring a lot of platforms, clouds, and there is quite a lot. Trailhead is definitely the number one place where you should go learn from. I mean, this is all Salesforce material from Salesforce website, and most of it is official documentation. So it's better for anybody to go to Trailhead. And the way they, I mean, most of you already did some work or other on Trailhead, and you must have seen the way they have a lot of narration. Basically, when you are going through something, they simply don't explain, okay, hey, do this, go there, go this kind of thing. They explain some scenario. They bring in some personalities, say, okay, hey, this guy wants to talk to this guy wants to do this thing. And that's how they explain the scenario so well. And so when you are reading it, basically you can visualize what's going on. Whereas if you just read any help documentation, they don't do all that stuff. I mean, even if you go to help.salesforce.com or developer.salesforce.com, they don't put in all that narrative, so all the narration. Whereas Trailhead definitely gives you a lot more insight. They explain you in detail, maybe especially for beginners. That is a very good place to go. And the mobile app. So mobile app, potentially Salesforce, when you are building some software, there is one mobile app that you can use that's called Salesforce One. But even for Trailhead, there is a mobile app so that you can install. Potentially, you can read it on the go. So that is very good one. And YouTube channels. So I mean, I see that there are jobs from Salesforce. Maybe this is true right now in this technology world. So every software vendor may have these kind of jobs. They call these guys as evangelists. All their job is every day. So just sit through. I mean, they start some webinars. They explain. They take up some scenarios, and sometimes they ask, okay, what do you want to learn, or maybe what is your pain point in Salesforce, and they take some surveys, and then they're really experts. I mean, subject matter experts in the area, and they start basically some live streaming, and they talk about how to solution those. I mean, I follow a lot of YouTube channels like that, and also people like us. So basically, we explain a lot of scenarios. We put videos, and I mean, some of us may be experts, or at least some scenario no one really knows well. So those we can also publish those. And so like, I mean, a lot of Indian dudes I follow, so they do a lot of good work too. So
But like, if you have any channels you might want
yeah,
to.
I will yeah, I will share those channels.
Yeah.
And events and webinars, so these are the ones. I mean, Salesforce definitely do a lot of webinars. I mean, they're one of their best conference. I mean, that is the biggest conference for any software vendor. Is the Dreamforce. I mean, it happens every year around October time. I mean, this time, these days, it is not happening in person. But I mean, it hosts about 150,000 users. I mean, customers. One of the biggest ones, even not one of the biggest one. That's a Salesforce conference. And the blogs, basically, obviously, everybody write a lot of blogs these days, and you get a lot of visibility. And sometimes if you write, I mean, if your blogs are too good, potentially right there you earn jobs too. So and podcast, I mean, for me, so as I said, I mean, I run a lot, or I run quite a bit. So whenever I run, so potentially I start listening to some podcasts that helps for me to learn, I mean, few things. I mean, when I'm in a position to visualize some stuff, potentially this is very helpful. But for beginners, maybe it may not be that good. But definitely the YouTube videos and the events, visual ones are good. But over the time, you will definitely like podcasts. At least know who is good in what area. So at least you will know some contacts. And the Twitter. So potentially, I mean, everybody, all these evangelists and everybody, so they are very active in Twitter, and you can just go ask some questions. Somebody will respond. And I mean, when I was working in SAP, so when if I'm stuck somewhere, I mean, there is nobody to help. Potentially, I mean, it's very hard there. But Salesforce, maybe even the other the counterpart softwares, I think the young generation definitely they want to help. So the mentality is totally different. So earlier, when I know some SAP experts, they don't even go to forums. They don't write anything, so they're just busy working. But with Salesforce, what I noticed, if you have a question, if you ask the question, potentially the chances are that you will get the answer very soon. I mean, you don't really need a lot of help. You'll get it. So and so finally, I think how to play on the software. If you already worked on Trailhead, you must have seen you can kick off any training sandboxes, the playgrounds. That's what they call within minutes. Basically, if you kick off one, so it will be ready within a few minutes, and with sample data that is good enough for you to play around. And you can create as many as you want. So potentially, and they recommend you to create a new one. whenever you are trying to work on something new. And I definitely like developer.salesforce.com compared to the admin.salesforce.com. There is quite a lot of content on developer.salesforce.com.
Hey, Shrikant, this is Swati. I just have a question. So, um, were you stuck anytime, like, where you you do not get any kind of help, or like, I mean, my question is more like, when you say you get enough help, is it through blog, or like,
Yeah.
how do you get
Yeah, I
the help?
can give you my experience. I mean, this is back when I started Salesforce. I mean, me and one of my friends, I mean, colleagues. So we wrote some test class. I mean, to our eyes, it looks good. So basically, when we executed it, it is not working. The real code is working. The test class is not working. And I mean, we scratched our heads basically for I mean, we looked around basically everything. I mean, documentation and everything looks good for us. And I mean, it was about 6 o'clock in the night. So I was like, okay, maybe we need to drive back. So then we thought, okay, let's see what is, I mean, if anyone can help. So we just posted a question on Salesforce. I mean, I don't even remember. I think that this is a Trailblazer or something back then. We just posted a question there, and I started driving back. My home is about 40 minutes drive, and my friend, so basically, is very nearby. So he reached home, and he called me up and he said, yeah, "We got an answer. Basically, we just missed." When you are writing test classes, I mean, if there is some data that you really don't have access to, you just have to annotate method saying see all data or something. Then immediately the method can access the data from the setup, and potentially I mean, the test class immediately the moment we add that simple tag, it basically started working. I mean, the way we wanted. I mean, definitely that's what I'm saying. uh, there are a lot of people who wants to help. I mean, some are they Salesforce has created some titles for that also, the MVPs, the most valuable person or player, whatever this thing, and that is very prestigious one. So I mean, not everybody can get it, but you have to have a lot of open mind to help others. But there are quite a number of people who can do that, who will do that.
And I think as more and more people adopt technology, right, the support becomes better. So
Yeah,
in initial days, it might be, maybe not as good, but as more and more people are using it, there's more people posting on, Stack Overflow or
yeah.
any other blogs and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I mean, some of those things that I talked about. I mean, definitely we all start with Trailhead, and so this is where I mean the badges and also there. I mean, just to give you some overview, there are. I mean, when you want to learn, so potentially the smallest thing that you start with is module. So when you go to Trail, there are modules underneath each trail. So if you see here, this is a trail admin beginner, and there are a number of modules, and for each module that you do, so basically you get some points. And so if you do a set of modules, that becomes one trail, and so that's how you get points for the time. And the trial mixes, some experts or maybe anyone can create trial mix and they can share. And let's say if you say, okay, there is a trial mix, the developer trial mix, if you want to create, and you can simply go add whatever the modules or trials that you feel like are good, and you just add them. So here, if you see, there is this administrator credential one, both for admin and advanced admin potentially. And there are a lot of trials, modules, projects, and everything, and they add all those. So and once you do that, potentially you will maybe able to take both advanced admin and admin certifications. And so as you see, there are trials, super badges. I mean, super badge is another one. This one definitely I recommend everybody to go through this super badge. They give you a use case. I mean, most of the time we say, okay, at the end of training, you may expect, okay, hey, I want to do some project. And this is where they give you very detailed use case. Okay, hey, these are various things that they want you to do. And once you do all these things, I'm pretty sure you are comfortable to take some exam, or maybe to take an interview. So I mean, you can explain a lot of scenarios, and definitely we will share the real-time experiences or real-time projects that we are doing. But even if I give you any scenario, I won't be able to give you in this detail. So okay, you do this, and also they explain you how you should be doing. And sometimes some super badges, they explain with video, like okay, what exactly they want you to do and all. So very neatly put to the details and everything. So I mean, they talk about schema, how you want to build the whole relationships and all. So definitely a lot of good content out there. I mean, those are the trail mixes projects, and I mean, these are some video content that you can go, and potentially we will spend a lot of time in this Trailhead Academy. And this is the one, if you want to take any Salesforce training from official training, and you go here, you enroll. So basically, I mean, if you see here, they say what are all the things that you want to learn. So I mean, there are some pre-work that you may need to, that they expect you to do before you come to the training. This is even for Salesforce training. And then, so these are the things that they are going to teach you in the class. So we will try to go through some of these, or maybe most of these, and that way, I mean, we will make sure that you are good enough, or as good enough as you are taking this course from Salesforce. Yeah, so one thing, I mean, as you learn some points, potentially you will get, I mean, your profile definitely becomes strong, and you should be able to share your profile, just this guy. So, I mean, here, you can just put this in your email and in the resume itself. They can potentially go through that. I mean, if at all you have any certifications, they can see it there. You don't have to, I mean, and some of these super badges, they can see, okay, they know, okay, you are putting some effort to learn. And
Did you guys get a chance to create your Trailhead account? If not,
yeah,
maybe try today or tomorrow or sometime.
yeah,
And
we will try to go walk them through if at all anyone has any problem.
Hey, Srikanth, if you are done with the agenda for today, I have two more questions. Is it okay? We can go now, or I can?
Yeah, no, feel free. So let's, I mean, yeah, as I want definitely interactive rather than me talking on that.
Yeah, so a couple of things is the first thing is I just wanted to understand the Salesforce admin role versus Salesforce admin developer. Like in an enterprise role, like how they fit in. What would be the role of a sales admin versus sales developer?
Yeah, so I have some slides. I mean, I'm not done. I mean,
Oh, okay.
hopefully, if you have time, so I have more content.
Oh, okay, sure.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
coming. That is coming.
Oh, okay then. Yeah, the another thing is the probably I have seen some of enterprise they have MuleSoft and other broker services integrated with Salesforce, and it seems like it's also pretty hot in the market. So will you be able to cover those kind of any other stuff that will be integrating with Salesforce or those kind of things, how they are in the market, maybe in end or
Yeah,
coming sessions?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't have any personal experience working with MuleSoft, but I mean, I have some hands-on with Software AG. the ESB, so that's what they call. I mean, I can correlate what MuleSoft is doing, but I mean, I don't know whether Salesforce offers any MuleSoft designer that we can play with. I assume it is, but I don't have much hands-on, but I can give you use cases like how, I mean, obviously when we are integrating the system, two systems, how exactly the integrations will happen, we'll definitely talk about.
Okay, nice. Thank you, Srikanth.
So, yeah, I mean, without the platform, and I mean, Salesforce definitely is a big platform. If you have any use case, potentially you can solve it in Salesforce. I mean, whether it is good design or not, so that I cannot say. I mean, for some, you may better do some few things outside of Salesforce, but 99% anything and everything can be done in Salesforce. But obviously, sometimes we have to see what is the cost that it involves, and based on that, the architects will decide which platform we should be doing. But in general, pretty much, I mean, if you want to create a database, and if you want to give end of the day, so you create some database, you give access to the user, and for that, Salesforce definitely is a good platform to do with less work and faster pace. So, and I mean, they have a lot of cloud now. So earlier they started with Sales Cloud, and then they slowly checked into the Service Cloud, but now they are going at rapid speed. Commerce Cloud, Experience Cloud. I mean, some companies, so let's say Pepsi, and they want, or maybe any company, so they want to have some vendors to log into their software, and they don't want to give you as much as power that their users have, but still, if you want to self-serve, and those are the places Salesforce offers the Experience Cloud, and so you build a little bit of different way of the software for them, and they can get access to their account, their activities, their cases and all. That's how the Experience Cloud would work. And Commerce Cloud, actually, so it's B2B, B2C work that you can integrate into Salesforce. And the Service Cloud, I mean, the Sales Cloud, I will talk a little more about that. And obviously, MuleSoft is anytime you want to integrate Salesforce with external systems, you bring in MuleSoft. And even though Salesforce has inbuilt analytics, but it is not quite, I mean, if we have a lot of data, Salesforce cannot handle with better performance. That's where Salesforce typically uses the Tableau, that is Salesforce solution, which they acquired. And Quip is mainly for collaboration, and Salesforce has lots and lots of collaboration tools. I don't know which one is the right one, kind of thing. So they are also confused, I guess. And again, they bought Slack for 27 billion. And I mean, they already have Charter in Salesforce, and they bought Quip, and now they bought Slack. I mean, Slack definitely they are showing a lot of use cases in their demos. Most companies may have already have Slack. So, yeah. So the Sales Cloud, I mean, potentially why, I mean, how they use Sales Cloud. So let's say we have a seller, and typically the seller's job is always to meet the customer, sell your products, and they are on the run. So they potentially they won't sit in office. They will be on the road all the time, but they have to have some, whenever they have some event or appointment to meet a customer, they have to know it. I mean, obviously they can do it in Outlook, the calendars and all, but it has to be related to the account. And let's say if you do everything in your Outlook, let's say the seller leave the company, you lose everything. Potentially, you don't have access to what the seller has done. So that's where Sales Cloud or Salesforce would come in handy. You register everything in Salesforce, or even when you do it on Outlook, potentially it will sync it into Salesforce, and that way you have the data with you. So whether the employee leave the company or I mean, even if we have to cover for that employee, the manager can always access the work that the individual is doing. So that's where it becomes very handy for managers and also the sellers. And obviously, whenever you meet with customer, so it is referencing to some account contact. So that's where I mean, you record everything when you see from account. Okay, obviously, you know, okay, how the customer is doing, how we are doing with that customer, all that stuff. And when you have when you have a big company, so you have to segregate your accounts into different regions, different types. That's where territory management comes in handy, and potentially by zip code you assign different accounts into different territories, and you assign one territory to one seller, and they can work with those zip code related accounts. And or maybe if you want, you can do different types of, let's say we want to create accounts based on commercial, based on government accounts, and maybe the seller may be experienced in that area. So that's how the territory management you can use, and you can potentially leverage the services of the individual. So again, so when the seller goes on the road, so basically he meets a lot of customers, and sometimes they meet new companies also. I mean, if they see on the road somebody, I mean, if it is small company, they can, when they see some lead, potentially they think, okay, there is a potential business with that. In Salesforce, they can record as lead, and obviously this is any CRM solution works the same way. And you record that lead, and then slowly you convert that lead into opportunity, and then you convert them into account contacts. And and so let's say if you have any website, and if you want to, if someone goes to your website, and if they want to find something, and if at all they have any interest in anything, so they can place some interest, show some interest by filling some form, and those can be diverted into Salesforce as web to lead. And obviously we can do a lot of forecasting, so we can do some price.
One question: at what point a lead becomes an opportunity? What is the difference?
Yeah, so anytime, I mean, it all depends on the company criteria. So the company, each company has different scenarios. Okay, if they say, okay, I want to buy something from you, and so if it, for some companies, they say if it is so and so dollar value, so they will, I mean, not every company will convert leads into accounts. Because when you create an account, there may be some rules saying, okay, you may want to touch base with that account so many times in a month and all, and that is going to be a cost for the company also. There will be some customer information team for most of the companies. They evaluate the lead, and they see whether it is a potential, I mean, they say, okay, I will buy from you $500,000 something, but they have to see whether the company is worth it. So that's what I mean, a lot of stuff will happen inside the company to check whether it is worth it, and when they see it is worth, that's when they convert into opportunity, and then to account contact. Yeah, it depends on the business.
Okay. So
That's,
every company has a different criteria.
yeah. So basically, you will define rules. So based on rules, basically you can convert that lead.
Got it.
And I mean, if you have products, I mean, you may say, okay, I want to give this product for this customer, I want to give it for different price. For this customer, I mean, if it is not a premier customer, I want to give it for a higher price. So those things you can do it in Salesforce using price books. And obviously charter, if you want to collaborate with other users. I mean, Salesforce mostly sales cloud is internal sales tool, not like the external. This charter collaboration and all, this is internal, not with external communities and all. So within Salesforce, whoever has access for that company, only they can chat with other employees.
Okay. Just one thing I want to add: for people who are not yet in a working scenario, Outlook is basically Microsoft's email tool. So Salesforce has the ability to sync to that. So
Yeah.
Just want to add that.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, Salesforce also sync Gmail. I think they have integrations with Gmail. I mean, out of the box. But obviously, if you have, I mean, any other email tools, we can build integration. Salesforce exposes their APIs, and if the other system also has APIs, it should be, I mean, on periodic basis, we can build something. Okay, hey, see whatever. I mean, the events are tasks that are created in your system in the last 5 minutes. Just push it over to Salesforce and check whatever is created in Salesforce, push it over to other systems. So I mean, we can build all those things at periodic intervals, but these are out of the box. Salesforce has provided without Outlook. And when we do this, potentially you have to work with the Exchange team to do these integrations, because you cannot simply, if you have Salesforce, you cannot simply touch your Outlook, because there are admins on their side. They have to provide some access to you. So same time, when they are ready to collaborate with you, so you have to, as Salesforce admin, you have to give access. I mean, Karthik, so this is where the admins will play a very critical role in the integration, and also when you are building the pages and so all the automations that you do. And again, so next one is Service Cloud. I mean, these are, I mean, if you have one system, you don't need to go somewhere else. Potentially, you will see all these. These are different experiences, in my opinion. Same database, same server, different experience. For Service Cloud, the way, I mean, these guys, they don't, typically they don't go on the road. I mean, there are some field service technicians, but most of the service folks, they sit in office, they take calls or they take emails, they kind of serve the customer by sitting in office. So these guys, potentially most of the time they work on cases. Obviously, it is always referencing to account contact, and they also take, sometimes they have to work on these leads, and they have to churn the lead and also convert the lead into opportunity and all. And every time when we are on the service side of it, milestones or SLAs are very critical. We have to say, hey customer, if you create a case with us, okay, maybe we will respond you within maybe 8 hours. And if you don't meet that, because you already promised customer saying, okay, we are going to respond within 8 hours, and it is going to create some dent on your business. So that's where, I mean, you have to have all those milestones, and you have to somewhere somehow push those cases to the agents. So, I mean, you don't want, I mean, the agents to get ready, pick up the cases. Rather than that, so you want the system to push the cases so that they work on those. And also that's where this omni-channel comes very handy, and the CTA integration. So whenever you get a call, so obviously Salesforce may not have in the CTA integration. So you may have some Cisco call center with you, Cisco services, or your company may have some Cisco services. So when the call comes in, obviously it goes to Cisco, and Cisco has to route the calls to your Salesforce. That's where we need to do some integration. And again, administrator will play a very key role, and at the same time, all the Salesforce resources. And chat, when the customer goes to your website, so when they want to chat with you, so potentially customer from on your website, they start initiate chat, and it routes into Salesforce, into Service Cloud, and the agent will be ready take to address that chat, and potentially that will create a chat case, and basically they will address your needs. And email to case, if someone has time, customers, I mean, they don't want to chat, they don't want to call, obviously they can email, and the service agents will pick up that email and respond to the customer. And at the time, so I mean, there may be a lot of use cases in all these. when the email comes in, you have to identify who is this customer, and based on various criteria. And also you have to say if it is premier customer, you want to respond fast, so you may want to send that to an expert service technician or service agent rather than to the regular one. So those are all the rules that we need to build in Salesforce. That way you can help the customer efficiently.
So
And
Varla, just for understanding, my understanding also and everyone's, Sales Cloud comes into picture before we get customers, right? Pretty much like when the sales people are on the road or on the field trying to get customers. Service Cloud is when the customer is reaching out to us, right?
yeah, I mean, Sales Cloud typically runs both the pre-sales and after sale. I mean, you can place orders, and before that you do the pre-sale thing. Pre-sale, when I say pre-sale, basically that lead conversion and all. But when you have a customer, obviously when you are meeting with him, you are using even after pre-sale kind of both times.
Sorry.
Yeah, Web2 case, the last one, obviously when customer goes in, so they can also create, if you fill some form, obviously that can, we can create, I mean, from the form, we can call some web services into Salesforce and create a case. That's how we can respond to the customer later. So that is another use case. And I mean, we are slowly getting into so our roles in Salesforce, and there are two different kinds of experiences that we do that Salesforce allows. One is the declarative one, I mean, where you don't have to write a lot of code or very less code. I mean, when I say low code, potentially you are writing some formulas, and also anyone who knows some Excel or maybe some logic thing, so some if condition kind of thing, so you can potentially do some code there. That's what I call it as code. And there are some things that you can still do on the flow. They are as good as programmatic stuff, but there may be some limitations there, and the efficiency might not be as good as the programmatic side. And it is not sometimes when the customer says, okay, I want some screen differently, but Salesforce will only give one way of screen, so you cannot customize it big time. So those time the programmatic approach will come handy, so you build pages the way you want or the way customer wants. Whereas the declarative side, you can customize to, I would say, 50% of it can meet the needs. But if you want the picture perfect screens, or maybe however the customer wants with a lot of colors and all, so you would need to go to the programmatic side. So obviously the server side, the programming language in Salesforce is Apex, and the developer can build a lot of web services if we want to expose any services. And out of the box, as you create any object or fields, and those will all be exposed to outside world, I mean, with a lot of security in place. And also the Lightning Web Components is the latest one from Salesforce, came out in 2018 December time. So there is a lot of work that you can do as a developer using, I mean, if you know well enough JavaScript and a little bit of HTML and CSS, so you should be able to do a lot of coding using Lightning Web Components. So that's a kind of a framework. And before that, they used to have Aura components for about 5 years from 2014 to 2018 time. So those are, I mean, that is the web technology from Salesforce. Before 2014, they had this Visual Force. I mean, right now, I believe nobody is writing those, but still when you go as a developer, you will have a lot of code that you may have to do support and all. So, I mean, all these are still intact. Nothing is obsolete, but if you are learning, so I would highly recommend learn the Lightning Web Component. Obviously, you cannot get away with Apex if you go as a programmer. And the more JavaScript that you know, so that is good enough. I mean, that is that helps you a lot. The Salesforce. And yeah, finally, I think we are here. So the Salesforce, I want everybody to create the Trailblazer account. And I believe when you go to Trailhead, and so when you try to create an account, first it will ask you to create the Trailblazer account, then it will let you in. And so I think we covered the Trailhead overview a little bit. We have seen what is trail, what is badge, what is project and all. And please navigate over there. So maybe try to cover some. I mean, I will give you some best things that you can do in the next few days to get yourself comfortable, at least with the Trailhead page. And I mean, you don't see a lot of these in when you are learning. So basically, Salesforce has something called sandbox. In real world, there is a production system and there are sandboxes. And Salesforce gives lots and lots of sandboxes. And based on your edition, so Salesforce has something called edition. So basically, if it is enterprise edition or maybe it is partner, so different types of editions when you are buying from Salesforce. Based on that, you will get the number of sandboxes. I mean, if it is a big customer, there are, I mean, there may be, it allows you to create maybe up to 100 sandboxes or maybe even more. It all depends on how you bought the licensing from the company. And so the scratch arc is something that you can spin within minutes. Most of the time developers use that. And the sandbox, any admin would typically, they would live on the sandboxes when they are working. But as you are learning, so you won't you won't be exposed to these sandboxes, but you would be doing everything in the playground. And these are typically like production systems that you are using, since you you don't have any sandboxes. But since those are yours, so you can play however you want to play, and even if you screw up the system, so nothing to worry, you can always create another one and you can just scratch the old one. And yeah, I mean, again, so create this, install this Salesforce One app. So they have both on Android and iOS. You should be able to, once you create, I mean, obviously you have to reset the password. With the same password, you should be able to log into the mobile, and whatever you do in the system, you should be able to see those in the Salesforce One mobile app. And we will go through all these. And so this is the, I mean, how are we doing on the time? So are we okay? Do you want to continue?
It may be a little late, especially for the EST time zone.
Okay.
So we might want to wrap up and.
Okay. So then what we can cover, so maybe the Salesforce org walkthrough, we can go later. I mean, I'll just show you what we are going to see. Maybe we will set up some org next time. So maybe you may be knowing some of these by the time we come back. And so I will explain how the pages are going to be designed, how Salesforce follows the MVC design. So this is very popular design pattern. Every software would follow the same thing. So there is a model, there is a view, there is a controller, and we will talk about that next time. I think this is the one maybe Karthik, you asked, so what an admin would be doing in day-to-day life. So they will be managing a lot of users, and they will be taking requirements from business. They will create the system like the way they want, business wants, and they work with business to do a lot of UATs, and they check the system, they make sure everything is fine, they do a lot of reporting and all, and they enable a lot of features. We'll talk about this the next.
Okay, thank you.
And so next one is the user management. You would be doing a lot of user management, and security is going to be very key in Salesforce. We based on company requirements, we have to tweak a lot of things on the Salesforce side that we will talk. And the record access is the most, I mean, if it is private security model within the our company, so then this is going to be little tricky one. And I mean, this is where you will be spending a lot of time, especially in the production support scenarios. And the data migration. So basically, when we talk about multiple systems, so obviously in every company will have a lot of softwares. How you will be how will be you will enable the systems to talk to each other, and so how you do a lot of data loads between the systems in and out. Those are the things we will talk, and the reporting. And so we will talk about how Salesforce exposes the APIs and all over the times. And finally, I think this one, I think for you, I mean, whoever is new to Salesforce, definitely I want you to go through this guy. So potentially it should take maybe some time, maybe 3 to 4 hours. So to do all these things, but I highly recommend you to go through this. Basically, it will allow you to go through the Trailhead pages and all, so the basic navigation. So, and also you see some account contact and that stuff, and the lightning experience. So that is this is the newest the UI from Salesforce. Earlier they had classic, and they kind of let go that one. So it is all lightning experience now. If you start, and obviously you don't need to worry about classic, but just remember there was something called classic earlier, and there may be some customers that they still are using that, but it is very rare to see those, but sometimes you may have to support that old experience. And so some of this pre-sales process, you will see this, and maybe in here you will be converting some leads into opportunities in this one, and here you will go through some service cloud basics. So try to go through this, try to complete it by the time we meet next time.
So Gurla, you want to shoot for Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday works for me. So
Anybody, anyone else? We will shoot for Sunday. That will give us tomorrow, Friday and Saturday, right? Two, even 3 days for us to get some familiarity with the system. All right. Okay.
That should be good. And Srikanth, if possible, we have this WhatsApp group, right? Can you give us a heads up, like what are the prerequisites things that we have to do, like creating this Trailhead account so that
yeah.
we can do our hands-on. So if there are anything like that, can you just post it there so that for next session we could.
Yeah,
Sure.
I already pinged this link in the chat, in today's chat.
Okay.
I don't know whether you will lose it after you end the call. So please.
I'll summarize that. I'll summarize the things to do and send it, Karthik.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, if you can put it in the WhatsApp group, that would be very helpful. Like we won't lose it. Thank you.
So Srikanth, share the, if you can share the.
Yeah, I will put it in the WhatsApp.
No, I mean, share the PowerPoint also.
Yeah, I will share the PowerPoint link, and I will share this one. Please go through this, and if you have any questions, put it right there. I think others can also help.
Yeah, please post in the WhatsApp group if you guys are running into any issue or questions, and then it will help the rest of the group also. All right.
Thank you, Srikanth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry, it's a little over, but looks like the kickoff, right? So next time we'll try to start early and kind of stick to a plan. So
yeah, hopefully we will go through. I mean, maybe we will cut down a lot of PowerPoint and all. Maybe we'll work in the system going forwards.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Thank
Bye.
you, Gorla. Thank you, Srikanth.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, Srikanth.
Bye. No problem. Bye.